Hi, I'm Connie Whitman, your host, and you're listening to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. As always, very excited to have you here with me. So my motivational quote today is actually by someone who I adore. It's Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock. He's amazing. And his quote says, "Don't be afraid to be ambitious about your goals. Hard work never stops. Neither should your dreams." Now, I want you to think about these two words specifically, but what do the words personal freedom mean to you? Some of you might think personal freedom means financial independence. Others may think it's doing something that you love to do and you're able to make a living at it, while others may think personal freedom is simply being happy. It doesn't matter your definition. There's something about that term, personal freedom, that just sounds really good, right? Wouldn't you like to clarify what your personal freedom looks and feels like? I know I do. Today, we are in store for a huge surprise. My guest is Helen MacMillan, and she's the founder and CEO of Helen MacMillan Coaching. Helen is a modern-day emancipator who helps high-achieving individuals create and sustain the personal and professional freedom they desire, and yet so often eludes them. Helen's mission is to equip those individuals who are ready to make a profound shift with the mindset, skill set, and of course healing that allows them to powerfully and authentically create success from the inside out, using their deepest truth and wisdom as their guide. Now, Helen combines her strong intuitive healing abilities with the practical expertise and wisdom gained from building 3 successful businesses, being married twice, and raising 3 boys, yes, while maintaining her sanity. Parents, you understand that, to help her clients create a life they love with ease and grace. So please help me welcome my wonderful guest today, Helen MacMillan. So Helen, thank you so much for being on.
Oh gosh, Connie, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to see where our conversation goes today.
Yes, and when we chat, we never know where it's going to go. So I love that. Okay. My first question now, and I love this term that I actually used in the intro. You call yourself a modern-day emancipator. What exactly is that, and how did you get just into doing that kind of work?
Yeah. So a modern day emancipator, slavery supposedly was ended in the 1800s, right? And at 1865, I think to be exact. However, in my work, what I found is that so many of us are not really truly free. We're not really free to make choices and decisions because we are operating from a conditioned mindset. We all are educated and conditioned by our environment, our families, and stuff like that. And so we think that, we're going along a path because we chose it and not realizing how many times we are, by society, by family, whatever, these little suggestions, these little pushes, these little nudges that are taking us in a direction. This is what we're conditioned to believe. This is right. This is wrong. This is good. This is bad. This is a great profession, right? So many of us, certainly when I was young, you wanted to be an artist. What you would hear is artists don't make money. How are you going to make a living at that? Or, God forbid you wanted to be a singer. Seriously, do you know how many Michael Jacksons do you think there are in the world, right? And so
Absolutely.
what I would find in my work is that so many times we think we are free and we're not. And of course, I've had my own journey with that, right? And I call it climbing the wrong tree. We go ahead and we create the life we're supposed to. By 26, I had been married, had the requisite 2 children, the house didn't have a white picket fence, but we had a fence, had my business, and I had success, and in the way that the world told me that I should be. And yet inside, I was feeling dry. I was feeling unfulfilled. I was feeling harassed, and I actually got very sick and literally ended up in the hospital and almost died. So it was, yeah, it's interesting as I came to in the hospital and looked at the ceiling and started to cry and go, wait a minute, there's something is off here. This is not what it's supposed to be. And it felt hard.
It's
And I knew
amazing.
it was supposed
I
to
don't
be.
mean to interrupt you. It's
No,
amazing
please.
that at 26 that you
Mhm.
had that this isn't right, that's amazing, because I think at 26 we're still so, and you had kids by then, we're just so occupied by our own stuff, right? Like you said, get the degree, do this, do that. And having kids that you're exhausted, especially when the children are younger, that's quite a revelation for someone so young.
And I'd always been very connected spiritually.
Mm.
I was a empath, and sensitive and intuitive. I didn't know that's what I was when I was young, but
Sure.
I had an awareness of things that I came to realize other people around me did not. And so it's interesting. As a child, you don't want to be different anyway, right? So I shut it down. I really did.
Absolutely.
And led to depression, because when you are not being true to yourself, when you're not living your truth, when you're not being who you are created to be, and you're so far off track, it really, in my case, it led to depression. However, interestingly, on the outside, I didn't look depressed. You ask anybody, I've met up with people who knew me in high school, and I'll tell them, my story now that I have an awareness of it. And they'll go, "What? Not you. You always look so confident and so in charge." And so I was wearing masks, of course. And so many of us do, right?
We absolutely do. What now, before you use the term that you see people, like we're enslaved, that use the word
Yes,
enslaved.
yes.
Is there a pattern that you see where people
Oh,
become enslaved within themselves?
absolutely. Any one of the conditioned mindsets about what is right, what is wrong, what is good, and what is bad. If you have not taken the time to look within yourself, to actually sit down and decide for yourself, this is what I want, and I want it because it makes me feel, because there's a desire within me. We are already enslaved, and we, because if you're not living your life on your terms, if you don't think it's even possible, you are enslaved, right?
How do you help people? Yes, I agree with everything you just said,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I think that it's really really hard for people to stop and kind of get inside themselves just to figure out, am I
Yes,
enslaved? Because their
yes,
life is their life. We're humming along. You know what
yes,
I'm saying? How do you help
absolutely.
people kind of figure that out, I guess, is my question.
Yes. So the first thing, everything, all change, I love that this is enlightenment of change, right?
Yes, yes.
All change begins with awareness. You can't change what you can't see, right? If I don't know that something is off, then I can't change it. So I advocate self-awareness hugely, and meditation is one of the greatest self-awareness tools there
Absolutely.
is.
Yes.
It is a mind focusing training tool. There's a
Absolutely.
reason it's been around for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
I also have little, that's when people are working with me. This is one of how I've come to use my gifts, right? I have a lot of training, a lot of education, a lot of tools in my toolkit. And I tell my clients all the time, their greatest advantage in using me is my gift of intuition, my gift of clairvoyance, clairaudience. I'm able to see what's in their blind spot. I'm able to see what they can't see,
Sure.
right? and and so often it's true for so many of us, right? Our gifts, our talents, they're right on the tip of our nose.
Hmm.
How easy is it for you to see the tip of your nose without a mirror?
Hmm.
So there are tools, and there that I teach that help you to do that, right? Just even one, just viewing the world as your mirror, right? I always say God wouldn't create us, or universe, or whoever it is that you believe in that created us, right? Without, isn't it crazy that parenthood is one of the most amazing jobs and most important jobs on the planet? It's like,
Definitely.
and these little things come to you without a manual. Like, seriously, like,
Yes.
who does that, right? However, there is a way for us to see ourselves. It's in the mirror of life. We create according to our beliefs, and if you want to know what you truly believe, look what you've created. Look at the people and the situations that you've attracted into your life. And if you're willing to see, and if you're willing to take responsibility, then you can begin to wake up and say, "Oh my gosh, um, yeah, that I created that." Maybe unconsciously, most times unconsciously,
Sure.
but if I created it, I can change it.
I have another business with three other partners, and it's
Mhm.
called the Round Table Group. And what we're doing is we're trying to shine a light on the amount of disrespect across the board. You see it with Matt Lauer, you see it with, Roseanne Barr a few weeks ago with her disparaging comments. It's just everywhere, and we all can cite examples that we've even experienced. And we had a meeting the other day, and before a meeting, one of the partners sent a quote. I'm going to misquote it, but it said something to the effect of, if you're being disrespected at the table, meaning in your office and what have you,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
time to get up and leave the table.
Mhm.
And I loved that quote. I actually forwarded it to my husband, and he works in a corporate environment as well. And we talk oftentimes about people don't even know that they're being disrespectful. People
Yes.
are so afraid of losing their job or somebody getting more recognition than they're getting, that
Mhm.
we become disrespectful out of fear. And
Yes.
it just blows my mind. So that quote, "It's time to get up and leave," I don't even think people know that they're
Yeah.
being disrespected or that they're being disrespectful.
Right.
Right? Do
Right.
you find
I
that as
think,
well?
and coming back to even the same way that the mirror concept works,
Yes, yes.
if I'm sitting at a table and I'm feeling disrespected, right? And I don't get up and leave and I keep coming back and I'm like, "Ah, I don't know why I keep attracting these situations where I'm being
That's right.
disrespected." The mirror will say to you, "Excuse me, if you keep showing up and being and taking this behavior, you're disrespecting yourself."
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's an opportunity to wake up, because if we now ask the question, okay, if I find myself constantly attracting circumstances and situations where I feel disrespected, where am I being disrespectful to myself?
Yes, that's right. I
And it's
don't,
a
but I
beautiful,
don't
loving
think,
question.
yes, and it is, but I don't think they know what you just said to ask that question
Oh no,
after
of
they've,
course.
right.
Right. So that's why we teach these principles, right?
Yeah.
You can't change it till you know. So the first stage is waking up. The first step is becoming more aware. The first, and being willing to wake up, being willing to see, being willing to hear. How many times
Absolutely.
have somebody tried to give us advice and we're like, yeah, whatever.
They have no idea what I'm going through, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Because we're so attached, right? Because no matter how dysfunctional and uncomfortable the place is, it's familiar. And it's
Absolutely.
on our human nature to to get comfortable and stay in the place that's more familiar.
Yeah,
And
it was funny, Helen. Before we started the show, Helen and I chatted, and Helen asked me a great question. She said, "What do you want this show to do for your listeners?" And I thought that was such a great question. And it's funny, no one's really ever asked me that, but I did answer just what you said. Is I just want people to stop and listen and hear another perspective, whether they agree, disagree, they think we're crazy. It's all good, right? I'm a little crazy. It's okay. But that they hear that different perspective might just open the blinders ever so slightly. And that's really what I think you and I both do,
yes,
with our businesses, with the people that we're exposed to, and all of those things. What do you see as the biggest indicator that someone is being asked to change,
Mhm.
and how do you help them kind of shine the light on that big change?
Yes,
You know?
yes. So it shows up in many different ways, but it can feel like Groundhog Day in your life. First of all, like
Totally.
same, crap, different day,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, and sometimes we can have what I call a two before experience. Like life gives you a huge crisis, right? And your life feels like chaos, right? That's an opportunity and an invitation to change, right? And sometimes when we've been a little further along this road and we've been doing this a while, it doesn't necessarily come as a big, chaotic, life altering. As a matter of fact, the further along we go and the longer we've been at this game of personal development, we actually need what I call a trifecta. It'll usually take three big things at the same time to get your attention because you're like on it. It's the little things, you've got them handled, right?
It's
You've got them
true.
handled. So it usually takes several things at the same time to get your attention. But life in some way is getting your attention. And then when you're even further along, there's the whisper, right? And it's the more advanced we are on this journey of personal development and this journey of awakening, this journey of living what I call a deliberately created life, right?
I love that.
Um, then it's really the whisper. And you've got to go in on the hunch. It might just be something feels a little off. I need to,
And
I
that's
need to,
subtle.
it's very subtle.
Yeah.
It's very subtle.
Can you give an example? Okay, so like when you were 26, was that a 2x4 that hit you in the head?
Oh, heck yes. When you end up in the hospital looking at the ceiling, heck yes.
Yeah, right? Hugely so. So
And,
that's an example of a 2x4.
and I'll give you an example of a whisper,
Yes,
right?
please.
Or maybe less. It's a little less than a whisper, but it wasn't quite a two before. A few years ago, I was doing a lot of speaking and sponsoring and traveling and to promote my business and grow my business, and it had been wonderful. I mean, it's just great. I love getting out there and connecting with people, but I found myself coming to my last sponsorship. It was in May, and I kept feeling like I can't wait to get this one done. I can't wait to get this one done. Almost like how I used to feel when I was in school and it was coming up to the end of the school year. And it's like, I can't wait for summer. Yay. Can't wait for
Absolutely.
finals week to be over so I can do nothing. Right. And I was like, what is that? That's interesting. That's interesting. I felt tired. I felt tired. And as soon as it was done, we had just bought a house and I was getting ready to move and I'm starting to clear out my office and I hear, you know, let go of all of it. And I was like, excuse me? Like, what you talking about, Willis, right? What you talking about, Spirit?
I love it.
All this good stuff that's gotten me here? What? Yeah, let it all go. And this is the key, right? Here's the key right here, people. Know when you need help.
Absolutely.
I I always have my people in my back pocket. I call up my trusty hypnotherapist who I do work with occasionally. I was like, we have some work to do because I felt the resistance immediately to letting go.
And now so you're describing that as a whisper. I
Yeah,
think
because
for most of us, that would have been the 2x4. So isn't that
really,
interesting? Yes. To me,
it's all
that
relative, isn't it?
it's all relative because you're humming along, your business is thriving, you're promoting it, you're loving speaking, you're loving meeting people, and then all of a sudden, I don't want to do this anymore. And then the move prompted the clearing out for that message or intuitive or otherwise to say, get rid of all of it.
Mhm.
That to me is a 2x4. That's something you aren't just humming along, right?
But in the midst of your humming along, it feels great.
Yes, that's
So
interesting.
if I didn't stop to listen,
Right.
if I didn't pay attention, and the whisper was, I'm tired.
Yes.
And yet I'm enjoying this, and yet there's I can't wait to be done with this one.
Isn't that interesting?
That's why it was a whisper, because it was
Well,
really subtle. You have to be paying attention.
you have see, to me, what you've just described, that's hard. That's really hard to be so self-aware for that little shift of, because we'll say, yeah, you've been traveling. Yeah, that's why you feel tired. We
Yeah.
poo-poo it, right? I call that the
Yeah.
poo-poo. We go,
Yeah.
yeah, oh, I just need to rest for a few weeks and then I'll be
Yeah.
fine. It's the
Yeah.
move. We make excuses as to
Yeah.
why we're feeling the way we're feeling. And what was at the end of that message? What was the shift that you were supposed to make? Did you figure it out?
Oh yeah, I actually went into what I call the void. So I had several months of stillness where I had my clients, my one-on-one clients that I'm still doing appointments with,
Sure.
but I took on no new speaking engagements. I got still. I moved house, but after I moved and settled in, I was like, okay, maybe it's time now. Nope, keep relaxing.
And because that's not your nature. What? Like what? To relax? Like God
Well,
forbid we relax.
but in the stillness, right, is when things bubble up.
Yeah.
We are terrified of being still
Yes.
because so many things again, it comes back to the enslavement, the conditioning, right? It's like, oh, if you're not worthy, if you're not productive. First of all, you're not going to make any money if you're not working and marketing. That was the first thing I was like, if I'm not, I may be fine now, but in 3 months I'm not going to be fine if and I got to see only because I was willing. And I want to really take a moment here and clarify. I did not get here overnight. This level of trust, of faith, of practice, of self, I did not get here overnight. So don't ever compare yourself to anybody.
You're
It is a
right.
disservice to yourself.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
What I'm standing here being is an example of what's possible, right?
Absolutely.
It's an example of why you want to do this. Because over the next 4 months actually, instead of my income going down as I expected, or I would have expected, as I'd been taught, it was going up every month. My mind didn't know what to do with that because I was like, what? What?
Yeah, and you said it before, we truly are a society of if you're not working hard, you're lazy, you're not going to make a living, you're not going to
Yeah.
be successful. And a lot of people commute as they're listening to the show, Helen, but I want people to think as we're having this discussion, how many people in your life, it could even be you, running, and they're running, and they're forcing their kids to perhaps run, schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you look at them and you think, holy moly, what is going on? We all think of that because I think it makes us feel, I'm running around with my kids because I love my kids. I take care of my kids. I'm running around with my business because that's really important. I went to 20 networking events this week. What did you do with those 20 networking? How did you parlay that into money? Did you learn a new
Exactly.
habit? We're just running, but I don't think we're thinking about what is the end results that I want to accomplish.
Exactly.
Is that what you find?
100%. There's an event I do. It's coming up in September, called Align and Amplify. Right, your power, presence, and profitability. And one of the things I say is, we've been taught to amplify, like get out there and be visible, and put your word out there. And here's the thing, and that's great. However, if you don't take the opportunity and the time to get clear first, who do I want to connect with?
Mm-hmm.
What's the message I want to be amplified? So that's what I call the alignment, right? The clarity and understanding. Who am I? What do I want? What's the outcome? Then what happens is we're just busy, but we're not accomplishing,
We're on the
right?
hamster wheel.
We're on the hamster wheel, and what we end up is not the results that we would want, not as effective, not as efficient, and tired and unhealthy, right? And sometimes broke, unfortunately, right?
Yes, yes.
So it is about being more deliberate, being more intentional, being more creative, because it's really our birthright, right? It's a natural, this abundance,
Totally.
this flow, this wealth, this health, this happiness, it's our birthright, right? So we're figuring this out. And I have an easy button on my desk at all times from Staples.
That was easy.
I love that.
Right? Because I'm all about the easy button. And I want people to understand that simple is not always easy.
That's true.
And easy is not always simple.
That's really true. That is so true.
So we can have more ease and grace. And when I'm doing what's aligned for me, it might look like hard work to someone else, who is looking on from the outside. But if when it's aligned for you, it's like I could do this all day long. Like people look at me, oh my God, doesn't that wear you out? Hell no. It actually energizes me.
Definitely. Definitely. It was funny. My son had an internship with happened to be a client of mine. He had done it, and they asked him back because he's just a real good worker. He's going to be a senior in college, and they had a woman was retiring that I've known for 11 years. So they invited me, which was just lovely. And of course I went, and of course he was there. And so I was talking to one of the colleagues that one of the executives there, and she's, oh, what's going on? You know, what's new? And so I filled her in that I had started this third business. And my son, this was very interesting. He said, yeah, you know, my mom, you know how she rolls. She's always got to, you know, be doing something bigger and better. And it struck me as so funny because to me, it wasn't bigger and better. It was an opportunity that I feel very strongly about and that I feel is needed. And before this thing with the whole disrespect in the workplace becoming a thing, people would say, you know, sometimes people will say to you, what's the number one word that would describe you? And, you know, you think about that. And the word that I would frequently come up with is respect. I respect others to the nth degree, you know, the old treat others as you want to be treated, right? One of the commandments. So I believe that, right? Be respectful. But I also respect myself where I don't allow people to treat me disrespectfully because shame on me for not having that self-respect. So that one word always came up for me. It's about being respectful to other humans and to each other and sharing love instead of me bringing my bad day, you know, onto you. So when my son perceived it as that way, it made me pause because I don't think it's hard work. Like you, I love being energized. I love creating something new. I love meeting new people and people saying, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yes.
And right, having the aha moments with people is very rewarding for me. So again, and Helen, this is so good that you're saying this. Doesn't mean that they're going to be you, they're going to be me. Right. We've been doing this a long time, right? Kiddo, we've been doing this a long time. But the idea is just start with that stillness of self to try to figure out who am I? What do I really want? And what does that alignment look like so that it can be with ease and grace? And you always say that I've seen you speak. And I love that ease and grace. And if we're not in ease and grace, then we're off kilter.
Yeah, that feeling I'm struggling, that feeling of it's hard, that feeling of you keep hitting into walls.
Absolutely.
Those are all the indicators that something's off, right? You're not aligned. You're enslaved, you're in chains, you're caught up somewhere. And it can be as simple, you know, quantum physics teaches us that when you change, like literally by observing matter, by observing something, you change it. So when you change the way you look at something, that very thing will change.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
And people listening, my audience, think about having a moment of, you know, like you walk in your house and you see the same thing, you see the same thing, you see the same thing. And all of a sudden you see a beautiful painting or you see something you had put up on your shelf and it's a little saying. And all of a sudden it catches your attention and you read it and you really understand it or you really feel the painting or whatever it is. And you think, why didn't I see that before?
Yes.
It's been here. Is that you're saying yes? So that means you see this with your clients. Is that because they're ready to see the message, the paint, whatever it is? Are they ready for it, or does?
Yes, I think so because it's here all along. It was there all along.
Right.
Right. And everything that we desire is already here. We have to what we call going into energy terms now. We've got to become a vibrational match to it.
Yes.
Right. So once you have a desire for something or say you're struggling, right? In the midst of a struggle, what are we thinking? I want to be out of this struggle. I want this instead. I don't have enough money. I'm thinking, I wish I had more money, right? There's a part of you, the greater part of you has already created the opportunity for more money. Now we have to get out of this story of I don't have to open to how can I, where is it? And then whoosh, because opportunities can be right there right in, have you ever lost your keys? And all you're thinking is, I can't find my keys. I can't find my keys. I can't find my keys. Right. And then you just, I have a little ditty. I say, nothing is ever lost in divine mind, which is my way of just letting it go. And I go, show me where it is. And then you walk back around, or somebody comes in and they go, oh, those keys? Are those the keys you're looking for? And they're sitting right there. But you were so caught up in, I can't find my keys. That's the story. And that's what your eyes, your consciousness, your mind is going to show you.
It's so funny. This happened to me the other day. I have to wear my reading glasses, Helen. So the other day I was doing something and I thought, oh, and I put them, like tucked them in my shirt. And I said, oh, then they'll be there when I need them. Yeah. And the next moment I'm like, what did I do with those glasses? 5 minutes went by. And I was like, oh, and I go, oh, they're right there. Oh yeah, that's right. That's where I put them. So you're right. We get so, where are they? Where are they? That we don't have the clarity of, oh, I put them there so I would remember I put the keys there or whatever. I hope everybody's laughing at that because I know we've all done that.
Oh my gosh. Or they're on top of your head.
On top of your head. That's another good one that I thought of. We've all done that, I'm sure. So I hope everybody's getting a chuckle out of that. We're out of time, but I would like you, if everybody listening, if they could do one thing after hearing this show that they can implement or try to align or gain awareness, what would that one thing be for you? What would you recommend?
I would recommend taking your phone. Most people have a smartphone these days,
sure,
right?
Sure.
Kitchen egg timer, and literally starting with set it for 2 minutes. Everybody can spare 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
Literally, right? Spare 2 minutes and just be still for 2 minutes and breathe. And be with yourself. Maybe put your hand on your heart over your chest and say, I'm giving you 2 minutes, Helen, Connie, George, whatever your name is, right? And just literally spend some time with yourself and see what happens. Because when you start to value yourself, the world will value you more.
You know what? That is so, so true. We devalue ourselves all the time because and I don't know about you, I call it the record player. The kids, I don't know what they would call it now. It skips. I guess the CD would skip. But I have my record player. It's very grooved, meaning it's that old, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not wise enough. I don't know enough people. Who am I? Right? All of that deep grooved record player that we play over and over and over again. And when you can value yourself, shift that thinking of value. And I like how you said when you do that, put your hands over your heart, that I'm allowing you 2 minutes to just stop and breathe. And I would think that when you work with your clients, you help them go from 2 minutes to 3 minutes to 4 minutes, and then maybe even to a half hour of meditation.
Yes. And meditation is one of, there's so many different tools, because you see, and I teach many different ways to meditate, because when your nervous system is on high alert and has been for a while, if you've been under a lot of stress and pressure, like a sitting meditation is like akin to just asking me to go shoot myself, right? Like, it's like, oh my God, the mind is just going, blah, 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 blah. Right?
That's right.
And so maybe a walking meditation is where I would start them. Or we have one called a gibberish meditation, where you go, and some people are like, what? Right? But sometimes if you do that for a minute, then you can sit still for a minute. And then there's tools there are tools like EFT tapping. There's so many different tools. There's always a place to start, no matter where you're starting from.
There's a place.
There's a place to start from.
And I agree with you. Like, I don't love tapping. I've been told to do that several times, and I try it and I hate it. So I think, okay, that's just not for me. Exactly. As hard as meditation has been to learn, I prefer the meditation route. It grounds me, it calms me, it works for me. That doesn't work for everybody. I know a lot of people who go, meditation, no way. Where the tapping maybe does work for them because it's
exactly. I have some of my clients hate tapping and refuse to tap. And it's all good. And and yet it works, because when we tap together, and sometimes they hate it because they don't know what to say, so it's not effective, or they just feel like they look crazy or stupid or whatever it is. So there's always a reason. But it's interesting how many times when they see how effective it is, like I had a client the other day said, I was tapping yesterday. I was like, what? Really? You? Because she used to hate it. But I want to say this about just even the meditation, and maybe I would love to actually offer a spontaneous gift to if someone is listening and they've never, because if you've never meditated before, sometimes, or if you find it hard to sit still, start with a guided meditation,
Sure.
right? Which is where what that is for those of you who are listening and may not know is you're actually listening to a recording in someone's voice telling you what to do or taking you on a little journey. So it's like listening just the same way you're listening to this interview. You'd be listening to that, and it just it keeps your focus. It helps you to do
Absolutely.
that. And I have a grounding and energizing meditation that I created years ago that people find quite useful. And if somebody would like that, I will be happy to share it with them. They can just email me, helen@helenmacmillan.com, and I'll be happy to send it to them as my
That's
gift.
awesome. Thank you so much for that offer.
Yep.
And on that note, I want to give Helen's email address as well as the website. And everybody knows Helen because seriously, a lot of people do commute as they listen to different podcasts, including mine. So I always put the website and email address directly on the Enlightenment of Change Web Talk Radio .net platform. So the website, guys, is helenmacmillan.com. So it's HelenMacMillan.com. And then her Helen's email, of course, as she said, is helen@helenmacmillan.com. I will post both so that if you would like that guided meditation, which that's exactly how I started, Helen, with a guided meditation.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
just helps so much. It
Yes.
helps our monkey mind slow down a little bit because you're listening to someone kind of take you on a visual journey.
And one caveat, do not do it while you're driving.
Totally, that would be bad. So
Can I give them another a gift? Would that be all right with you?
I would love that.
I've just created a quiz called the Chains Quiz, which is the 8 invisible chains that hold you back, that are holding you back. So it's a quiz that will give you some insight into which particular chains are holding you back as an individual. And it's a quick free quiz. And
do you have a link for that?
It's chainsquiz.com.
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 Beautiful.
chainsquiz.com.
And you know what? I'll post that on the website though too. Chainsquiz.com. I will absolutely do that, Helen. Great. Thank you so much for being lovely and generous with my audience. I do appreciate that. You guys, if you need a little more Connie, you can reach out to me personally at Connie@WhitmanAssociates.com. Again, questions about business related stuff, coaching, leadership, sales. Of course, sales is my number one favorite thing to talk about. Reach out to me. Or if there's a topic you'd love me to cover on the show that I haven't covered yet, email that to me. I will find someone who is an expert and get them on so we could have a discussion. So thank you so much for joining me, Helen. Again, thank you. Just thank you for the insight and the free gifts and the tools and the discussion. We should all break the chains that are holding us back and live the life that we're all meant to. So thank you so much for just your insight. I do appreciate that.
Thank you, Connie.
A real pleasure. A real pleasure. I hope you guys will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together how to grow and challenge ourselves and just realize that we can embrace change. And it's so much easier than we think. One little step is all you have to start with. Thank you again to my wonderful guest, Helen MacMillan. Everything will be posted. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. Thank you so much, everyone. Have an exciting and a wonderful week. And I really hope you have a week that's inspired with change, but inspired with finding your alignment, finding that true self within. So thanks, everybody. Have a great week.